Good morning, everybody, and thank you for coming over for our press briefing on the election integrity system here in Minnesota. I'm very pleased to be joined this morning by my Director of Elections, Gary Poser, and a number of the county election officials and representatives of our statewide organizations of county officials. Gary, could you briefly introduce our guests from the elections world?
Sure. So I guess I'll start over on the end here. We have Ann Higgins with the League of Minnesota Cities, Cindy Rikers, the Minneapolis City Elections Director, Rachel Smith from Anoka County Elections Supervisor, Mary Kay Kess from Scott County, Karen Myers from Blue Earth County, Jill Elverson from Hennepin County, Patty O'Connor from Blue Earth County, Joe Mansky, Ramsey County, Michelle Desjardins, Hennepin County, Laura Erkey, Steele County, Joan Manthe, Waseca County, who have all joined us here today.
Thank you, and I want to start with my appreciation to the local and county officials. They are our partners not only in the day-to-day work of voter registration and all of that, but our partners in conducting elections. They're the ones who actually do the work of conducting elections. And some of you know that just a few weeks ago, we had a statewide recount, and while the last one in 1962 took 139 days, these amazing public servants and their colleagues around the state did it in 3 days, actually in 55 hours. And it was done that way because of their extraordinary experience and also their dedication to making sure that our system runs smoothly and runs on time effectively for all Minnesota citizens. In this year, and in most big election years, there's always a lot of questions about how does our system work, how does it function, what are the key elements of the system. It's now become part of the national political strategy and campaign. There have been Supreme Court cases as recent as today and a lot of issues around the country. So we wanted to take a few minutes, spell out a little bit of kind of what the process, how it looks, and we're going to do that up on the screen real quickly. And then you have the experts here to answer your questions about how does this really work on the ground where the rubber hits the road. And if you can bear with me for a moment with this PowerPoint, let's just quickly run through the kind of key basic elements of our election integrity process. Beth Frazier, our Director of Government Relations and PowerPoint Specialist, will run this through. Voter registration, in Minnesota, you can register on Election Day, but we beg people to register before because it makes the system much more efficient, more secure, increases integrity, and reduces costs, and makes the line shorter. So we are out asking people and encouraging people to get registered. Voter registrations go to the counties. Even if they come here, they all go to the counties, and these folks and their colleagues are the people who really handle the voter registration process. They check to see, is there an existing record? If you move, you have to re-register. In the future, that will change, but for now, you have to do that. And so they check to see, is there an existing register? Sometimes folks don't remember, am I registered or not? Am I at the right address? So they look at a record, they check the name, date of birth. There's either a match or not. If there is, they update an existing record if there's a new address or maybe there's additional information that was included. And if not, a new record is created. The next step is confirming. We use the Department of Public Safety, and that's our mechanism. It's also stipulated in federal law to double-check name, date of birth, driver's license, and social security number. At night, electronically, the records that are compiled go in. Is there a match? Is one possibility no match or impossible match? If there's a match, if the name, date of birth, driver's license, social security, if those things match, the person is registered. If there's no match, it's flagged on the roster, and the person, when they show up in the polling place, have to verify their information right on the spot, and sometimes it's just answering questions under oath. Sometimes there's a possible match. A name is James in one record, like a driver's license, and Jim is what got written on the voter registration card. It's reviewed. It comes back to the county where they try to determine, is this James, this Jim, exact same address, same date of birth, looks like a match. Is there a match? Yes. It's registered. If there's no match, again, it's flagged, and then verification is required at the polling place. confirming residency to make sure that somebody is living in the place where they are going to be voting. That's our requirement, 20 days. Every person newly registered gets a non-forwardable postcard. It's sent to the address on the form. It's either delivered. If it's delivered, then it's done. The name goes on the roster if it has been done before the closing of our pre-voter registration. If it's returned, then it's marked as challenged on the roster. And again, that person, if they show up at the polling place, they must do their verification at the polling place before they're allowed to vote, or they're denied the right to vote. We have a status check. Department of Public Safety has some information that is on some driver's license of people who are in this country on visas who have expiration dates. And so there's a weekly, it's not done daily. The others are done daily. This is done on a weekly basis. This was done in the past. Homeland Security said, no, you can't have that data. Now we find out they can get the data. And so this process will be just on a weekly basis. And then finally, the real election integrity in Minnesota at the end of the day is the safety net of Election Day registration. And because our state has this intricate system of checks and double checks, but at the end of the day, we have Election Day registration, our system is recognized as the premier system in the country. I was invited last month by the U.S. Election Assistance Commission to testify about our system, especially our database. There are copies of that testimony, but it was a way of the highest election administration officials in the country to recognize the system that's been built. I inherited this system. It was built by staff here and by all of these folks, their colleagues, that's gone back now for 150 years. 35 years of Election Day registration, 20 years of a statewide voter registration database. It's an amazing system that other states come and visit to learn from, that the U.S. Election Assistance Commission has recognized as the best in the country. But for me, the most important thing at the end of the day is that Minnesotans trust and like and use this system, and therefore we are the highest voting state in the country. Not because we are the best people in the country, although I might argue that in some other form. It's because we have the best system in the country. So I want to thank you again for being here. I want to ask just a handful of the local election officials to add anything or make brief statements they would like to, and then open it up to questions from you to any and all of the election officials. Patty?
Patty. Okay.
Patty O'Connor.
Good morning. I'm Patty O'Connor from Blue Earth County, Minnesota. I just want to echo what Mark had said, is we are extremely confident in our data. I've been an election official for 12 years, and we do checks and balances that no one else knows about. Voter registration cards come into our office. We check them to make sure they're signed, that we have the data that we need. We put them into the voter registration system. We look to see if they're registered anywhere else. If they are, that voter comes into our county. We activate them. If the address is bad, if it doesn't match anything in my precinct finder, we build a precinct finder for our county. We're responsible for that. So if the address doesn't come up, we have a problem. We have to check the tax system to see if maybe it's a new house. We contact the small cities to see if there's been an extension on a street. We try not to have any commercial addresses in our precinct finder, and that's true with every county. And so I'm extremely confident in our data, and we follow election law in Minnesota to the letter, and we're very proud of what we do. We are so dedicated. The group that I work with, I happen to chair the elections committee for the state. And our committee only gets bigger. More and more people are interested in making sure that they're doing their jobs right, and we are so proud of what we do for the state of Minnesota.